Goodbye 2024. We had some great films, so it's time I give my top 10 favourite films of the year. Now, as per usual, I can't help it guys, I'm from the UK, so I'm going by UK releases only. Now for some honourable mentions. Robot Dreams, Strange Darling, Love Lies Bleeding, Dee Dee, Long Legs, The 4:30 Movie, which is the best Kevin Smith film I've seen in quite a while by the way, Teacher's Lounge, Tuesday, Close to You, The Wild Robot, and Mad S, or Mads, I don't know. If I'm being honest with you, I actually wasn't that into this film, but I would recommend it to avid horror fans because it's actually quite impressive. It was shot entirely in one take and it's quite a sight to behold. It's very impressive filmmaking. I would recommend it, only if you're an avid horror fan. It might do something for you.
Number 10.
The Substance is one of the most peculiar and original horror films I've seen in a long time. It challenges our perception of pretty privilege and shows just how it can cause someone to be at war with themselves. It's a unique subject for a horror film, and I'm very surprised a body horror film has this much of a brain in its head. Demi Moore gives possibly the best performance of her entire career, the cinematography is haunting, the practical effects look fantastically creepy, and I honestly didn't know where the story was going to go. I wanted to put this higher on my list, but that third act just bugged me.
Number 9.
Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Guys, I'm so annoyed that this film didn't do so well at the box office. I don't care if it's not as good as Fury Road. This film kicks all sorts of butt. The action is exciting, the cinematography is creative, the atmosphere is just as imaginative as it was in Fury Road, and Anya Taylor-Joy was dope as a younger Furiosa. Also, Chris Hemsworth was extremely charismatic. Such a fun screen presence. I hope the poor box office numbers don't interfere with the future of this franchise, because I want to see a hell of a lot more from the Mad Max saga. This film rocked.
Number 8.
Take the first act of Straight Outta Compton, mix it with Billy Elliot's grounded tone, then combine it with Trainspotting's editing and youthful, destructive energy. What will you get? Kneecap. A strange little film about the true story of an Irish hip-hop trio that was also made by and starring the Irish hip-hop trio. It could have been a shameless, egotistical, self-promotional project, but it turned out to be beyond entertaining and very relevant. The music was good, the story was engaging, and it was really funny. It also has one of the most unique origin stories of a band, like, ever?
Number 7.
The Iron Claw, a wonderful biopic about wrestler Kevin Von Erich. What soared this film above the clouds for me? Zac Efron. Guys, I hated this guy back in the day. I just thought he was another typical pretty boy. But recently this guy has been putting me straight in my place. This guy knows how to act, and it is easily his best performance ever. And I'm not just talking about his physicality, everything he does in the film, it's just too convincing and very emotional. The whole story just got to me. A family constantly trying to adapt to tragedy whilst trying to achieve greatness. It's a rough ride, but a very gripping one. And even better, from what I've read, most of this is very accurate to the real life story. But that does lead me to one big problem. I don't like how the film combined two real life brothers together and squashed them into one character. That's a bit strange and disrespectful, but even with that flaw, the Iron Claw is just rocking.
Number 6.
Anora, a love story that wasn't really a love story. During the first hour, I didn't really get the hype Anora had received. The duo were so shallow and obnoxious, but I stuck with the film due to the impeccable acting from Mikey Madison. I'm glad I did that because when the midpoint came, I realized that my problems were actually the points the film was making. The themes of being bought for money and all of the pernicious effects it can have on you, even if it's fun at the time. The delusions that come with being spoiled. All of it just worked. Add to that, the second and third acts, they were mental and were quite humorous too. I appreciated how it concentrated on all of the small little details that came with this crazy situation. I was entertained, hooked, and by the end of it, moved. I ended up loving Anora, and I totally get the hype now.
Number 5.
Deadpool and Wolverine. What can I say about this film that has been said a million times already? It's funny as hell, it's incredibly entertaining, the action is fantastic, the cameos really were just stellar. We never could have guessed any of those guys would be coming back. And also, surprisingly, Hugh Jackman gave such a touching performance, and it wasn't necessary. All he had to do was kick a load of ass, but no. I'm so glad he came back for this role. I love this film.
Number 4.
The Shadow Strays. This one blew my socks off. Aurora Ribeiro, I think that's how you say her name. She's just such a brilliant lead in this kick-ass action flick. 20 years old and she's already established herself as a great action hero without it feeling all woke because it's a young female. It just worked. She was totally formidable in this film. The action was completely stellar, and it had a pretty decent storyline as well. The Shadow Strays blew me away, and I hope it doesn't just stay on Netflix. I want this on 4K Blu-ray. Big shout out to you, Paul Tams. If it wasn't for you, this film wouldn't be on this list.
Number 3.
Boy Kills World. How is this the director's first film, man? Everything I love about Shadow Strays is here, except it's a hell of a lot more funny. H. John Benjamin is the narrator in the guy's head. Absolutely hilarious. And Bill Skarsgård was surprisingly fitting as the lead. I didn't think he'd suit an action film, but yeah, he proved me wrong. He got beefed up and dominated falls left, right, and center. The action was very well shot and choreographed, and the story was pretty emotional toward the end. Boy Kills World is all sorts of brilliant.
Number 2.
Caddo Lake is an HBO original that was produced by my hero, M. Night Shyamalan. At first, Caddo Lake seemed like a typical spooky thriller where someone goes missing, but then its true genre was revealed in the midpoint and it caught me off guard. I assure you we've seen this type of story many times before, and Caddo Lake hits plenty of the same beats this genre is known for. So why do I love it so much? Because Caddo Lake fixes so many of the flaws its genre is known for. Most films or TV shows in this genre can often get so big for their boots that they require sequels or multiple seasons to answer their questions. And even then, the answers they give us don't always hold up under scrutiny. The stories can also be quite hard to follow. Caddo Lake avoids all of those flaws. It doesn't sequel bait, its answers make sense, it never becomes too convoluted, and it's very easy to follow. This script was masterfully well thought out. Best yet, this film hit me in the feels because the characters are brilliant. They're so layered and brought to life perfectly by the actors. I genuinely felt all of the psychological scars that this story was full of. Caddo Lake may do what many films have done before, but it does it better than most of them in my opinion. It made me think as well as feel, and it gave me a painful yet rewarding experience. Caddo Lake is a remarkable thriller.
Number 1.
Perfect Days. Yeah, grounded, humble films are usually my favorite type, so of course this ended up at the top of my list. I tried to be different and not end my movie of the year list with another grounded, humble film, but I was bloody moved. Koji Yakusho was just absolutely phenomenal as the main character. It might be my favorite performance of the year. The way this character just exists gripped me. He was likable, had integrity, and just in his face I could see that the outside world was doing a lot for him. But I didn't understand why. But when the credits went up, I thought about everything I had seen and I understood it finally. I was treated to the realization that all of the mundane details I had witnessed were actually everything. They were just hidden in plain sight, just like in real life. I then looked at my own life in a more appreciative, observant way, and no other film this year has done that to me. One day I'll do a deep dive video on Perfect Days so I can learn everything I can about it and fully flesh out my thoughts, but for now, I'll just say that Perfect Days is easily my favorite film of 2024. But please keep in mind that this is extremely minimal, possibly too minimal for you. Don't say I didn't warn you. So that was 2024. It was a damn great year for films, and I hope you guys had a good one. Do you feel like I've missed out on some films? Well, give me your list down below. Here's to 2025. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay jiggy. The badger appreciates ya.